By the time Officer Emmett realized what was going on, Kevin had already leapt in front of the man and kicked the gun out of his hand. Then he threw a lightning-fast punch to the man's head. He dropped like a sack of cement.
"Stay back,"
the man shouted as he saw that Kevin was getting close enough to reach him. In fear for his life, he started to aim towards the hostages. Kevin saw that the gun was pointed at a little girl who was lying on the floor next to her mother. He knew this wasn't good and sprang between the man and the little girl just as he pulled the trigger. "I told you to shoot me. Why did you shoot at someone else? What the hell is wrong with you? Don't you know how to rob a bank?" "Kevin!" Officer Emmett shouted nervously. "Why don't you put down the gun and face me like a real man?" Kevin said with a mocking smile.
"Shut up,"
the man yelled as he turned toward Kevin. But he was so nervous that he accidentally pulled the trigger again. But luckily, the man's shot was aimed at the floor and didn't hit anyone. In desperation, the man suddenly grabbed a little boy who was next to him. "Let's talk this over."
"Talk? There's nothing to talk about. You're going to stay right here and we're going to leave."
The one nearest to Kevin immediately hit him on the head with the butt of his gun.
"That's what you get for interfering."
Blood immediately started flowing down from Kevin's head. Fortunately, he was in pretty good condition, so the blow didn't knock him out. The gang's leader turned to his men and ordered them,
"You guys go and put all the money in your backpacks."
A minute later, the 5 of them ran out of the front door with 5 bags of money and their young hostage. After the men left, everyone was relieved, except the boy's father, and Officer Emmett and Kevin knew that it wasn't over yet. "Kevin, are you all right?" Officer Emmett asked Kevin with concern. "I'm fine," Kevin said as he tore off a piece of his shirt and tied it to his head to stop the bleeding. "Shall we chase after them?" "I'll chase after them. You get to the hospital," Officer Emmett said worriedly. She had been very impressed by Kevin's courage under fire. "I'll be okay. Let's go," Kevin said to her as he headed towards the door. "Those scumbags! They stole all that money and still took a hostage," Officer Emmett complained as she followed Kevin to his car. "That boy is so young. Even if we manage to save him, I'm afraid he'll never get over it." She was right. The young boy was in grave danger. "They were probably afraid that the police would follow them, so they grabbed a hostage," Kevin said calmly as he drove after them. "Call 911 immediately and ask them to check the surveillance cameras along State Street. Also ask them to send backup, or I'm afraid we won't be able to save the boy." "I know. You do realize I'm a cop, right?" Officer Emmett replied as she was pulling out her phone to call the station. "Hello? It's Lieutenant Emmett." She gave instructions to the sergeant who took her call, and then she turned her attention back to Kevin, who had just been shot a few minutes ago. About 10 minutes later, the men thought they might be getting away with their robbery. As they raced up Fullerton, one of them said excitedly, "Man, we hit the jackpot this time."
"Bullshit. We could have done a lot better. Who would have thought that such a big bank wouldn't even have a lousy 8 million?"
the man said bitterly. Suddenly, the driver looked in the rearview mirror and started to panic.
"Hey man, we got a tail. I think it's the guy from the bank."
"Damn it! How's that even possible? Didn't you just shoot him?" another one said in horror.
"What are you panicking for? There are only 2 of them. Just him and that cop," the leader said coolly. "Just keep your foot on the gas and stick with the plan. As long as we get to the boat, we'll be fine."
He was acting like he was calm, but the panic showed in the man's eyes. Kevin had been shot and hit on the head, but he kept coming after them. What kind of man was he? "What if we get caught? How are we going to kill him?" one of them asked.
"We won't have to. Have you already forgotten what I told you?" the man answered grimly. "Maybe that guy can fight, but we've got a hostage."
While they were discussing their options, Kevin and Officer Emmett were coming up with a plan of their own. "Kevin, hurry up and drive faster. Let's not lose them," Officer Emmett said impatiently. She couldn't believe that she was actually chasing the suspects in a... It was probably worth more than what the robbers had stolen from the bank. "Don't worry, we're almost at the lake. They'll have to stop soon," Kevin replied as he focused on the big black car ahead of them. Then he thought for a second and said, "You'd better let your backup know that we're heading for the marina. I'll bet they plan to switch to a speedboat. He knew his car could catch up with them in 2 seconds, but if he got too close, he couldn't guarantee that they wouldn't hurt the hostage. Officer Emmett noticed the bright red stain on Kevin's shirt. She asked him earnestly, "How are you holding up? That looks pretty bad." "It's nothing serious. I can hold on for a while longer," Kevin replied calmly. "This probably isn't the right moment, but there's something I want to know." Officer Emmett stared at Kevin and asked, "You could have dodged that bullet, but why did you put yourself in danger like that?" Kevin didn't reply to her question. He just kept driving, keeping just far enough behind the robbers so that they wouldn't get jumpy. When they got near the marina, the men grabbed their hostage and ran from the car. Kevin put the bracelet inside his jacket. Maybe it could at least deflect a bullet. Officer Emmett and Kevin jumped out of the car. Just as they were about to catch up with them, the group of men suddenly stopped.
"Stay back or the hostage is dead,"
the head robber turned around and shouted. The thieves were getting angry. One of them said,
"If it wasn't for these two bastards, we'd already be counting our money." "We can count it after we kill them,"
the other man said optimistically. "Cut the crap. Throw down your weapons, let the child go, and put your hands on your heads. This is your last warning," Officer Emmett shouted.
"Stay where you are," the leader hollered back. "Take another step and he's finished."
The man pointed his gun right at the kid's back while he used him as a shield. The little boy was seriously frightened and he couldn't stop crying. "Let the child go, you worthless son of a bitch," Officer Emmett growled. Kevin patted Officer Emmett on the shoulder and took a step forward. "So, you tough guys are using a child as a human shield. I'm really impressed. Very manly," Kevin said sarcastically.
"Shut up. If it wasn't for you, we'd have been out of that bank in 2 minutes and we wouldn't even need a hostage,"
the man said viciously. In the past few years, he and his gang had committed dozens of robberies, but they'd never failed. Until now. Kevin had messed up their plans. "I'll tell you what. If you want a hostage so bad, take me," Kevin said in a very serious tone. When Officer Emmett heard him say this, she turned her head in shock. She looked at Kevin and didn't know what to say.
"So, you want to be a hero. You got it," the gang's leader said angrily. "Come on, raise your hands over your head and walk over here. Slowly. If you play any tricks, you know what I'll do."
As soon as the man finished speaking, Kevin started to sneer. He slowly raised his hands and walked toward him. "Kevin!" Officer Emmett shouted in shock. Before this incident, Officer Emmett would have never thought that Kevin would risk his life to save a little girl and then offer himself as a hostage for a little boy. Why did everyone in the Jones family keep calling him a bum? When Kevin was less than 6 feet away, the man let go of the little boy. The kid immediately ran towards Officer Emmett, still crying uncontrollably.
"Come over here,"
the man roared at Kevin. "Don't worry, I didn't bring any weapons with me," Kevin retorted as he continued walking towards the man. Then Kevin made his move. He punched the man in the center of his chest and sent him flying backward. His men were shocked and they definitely didn't want to face Kevin again. They just snatched their leader and ran away as quickly as they could. After they were gone, Kevin grabbed his side and complained, "Damn, this hurts." When he punched the bank robber, the wounds on his head and side had started to bleed again. "Kevin, lie down and breathe calmly," Officer Emmett said as she carried the little boy over to him. Then she took off her jacket and held it against Kevin's side to stop the bleeding. "Help is on the way," she reassured him. "That's okay. I'll just lie here and bleed for a while," Kevin said jokingly. "I'm sorry I got you into this," Officer Emmett answered quietly. She was feeling pretty guilty because she was, after all, a police lieutenant, but she had ended up letting Kevin do her job today. "That's okay," Kevin said. "It's not like I had anything else to do." "Just hang in there," Officer Emmett said as she nodded her head. "What are we going to do now?" Kevin asked in confusion. "Those guys are probably halfway across Lake Michigan by now. Even if you wanted to, I don't think you could catch up to them." "They can wait. Let's get you some help first. I'll call the bank to let them know the kid's all right," Officer Emmett said calmly. "That's all right," the little boy said. Just send me back to the bank. This man needs to go to the hospital." Kevin and Officer Emmett were stunned to hear the kid say that. "I didn't know a child could have so much common sense," Kevin said in surprise. "Me neither," Officer Emmett said with a smile. They relaxed a little when they finally heard the sirens approaching.
Hi, Kevin here. If you're wondering what happens next, then stay tuned on the Pocket FM Universe channel for more episodes.
The bank robbers got away in their speedboat, but Kevin and Officer Emmett managed to save their young hostage. Unfortunately, while fighting with the leader of the gang, Kevin reopened the wounds on his head and his side. As the police and ambulance approached, Kevin said to Officer Emmett, "I think you should take the boy back to the bank. After all this, he needs to be with his family as soon as possible." "I can wait," the little boy said stubbornly. "You should get to the hospital right away." Officer Emmett patted the boy on the head and said, "I'll send you back in a police car. How would you like that? You know, I don't even know your name." "I'm Stevie." Then his eyes lit up and he asked, "Can they use the siren?" Officer Emmett laughed and said, "We'll see." She was trying to hide it, but she was pretty worried about Kevin's gunshot wound. Just then, the squad cars pulled up and a few officers walked over toward them cautiously with their weapons drawn.
"Chicago PD, please identify yourselves."
"You missed the bad guys by like 10 minutes. Where the heck were you?" Officer Emmett said as she showed him her badge.
"Oh, Lieutenant Emmett," the cop responded as he put his gun back in his holster.
"Geez, you guys are slow," Officer Emmett said disapprovingly. Then she turned to the little boy and said, "Stevie, these nice officers will take you back to your family. I need to get Kevin some help." "Okay." At the same time, he didn't forget to wave goodbye to Kevin. "Where's that damned ambulance?" Officer Emmett asked one of the officers. As soon as she asked, she saw the EMTs running toward her and Kevin. "I really don't need all of this fuss. I have a lot of work to do." When Officer Emmett heard him say this, she wanted to slap him. "Your health comes first. If you don't treat this wound now, you'll probably get an infection. That'll cost you even more time and money. Now let them check you out." "I still don't want to go to the hospital." The lead paramedic introduced herself to Kevin. "I'm Erica Diaz. Just remain calm and we'll get you back on your feet in no time." She and her assistant examined Kevin's wounds and lifted him onto a stretcher to load him into the ambulance. When they checked his vitals, they were surprised to see that he wasn't in shock. "You're pretty lucky. It looks like the bullet passed right through." She rolled Kevin onto his side to be able to disinfect the exit wound. "I really don't want to go to the hospital," Kevin told her. This was an unusual request for this kind of injury, so Diaz thought for a few seconds and then answered, "I can stitch you up and give you some IV antibiotics, but I really recommend that you get it checked out to make sure it didn't hit any internal organs. It doesn't look like it did, but you never know." Then she examined the cut on his scalp and said, "Your head wound looks worse than it is. Fortunately, you're not showing any signs of a concussion." "Why don't you listen to my advice?" Officer Emmett said disappointedly. "Just let a doctor take a look." "I promise I'll go if it gets worse, but I just don't have the time to deal with a hospital right now. And I can't go home like this either. Lily would freak out," Kevin joked. "You're such a—" Officer Emmett snapped at him. "Okay, you can crash out in my living room, but just for one night. Someone has to keep an eye on you. I guess it'll be me." Officer Emmett suddenly realized just how much she cared about Kevin. It was platonic, of course. After all, she had a fiancé and Kevin was a married man. Kevin got off the stretcher and thanked the paramedics as he stepped out of the ambulance. He and Officer Emmett walked slowly to his car, but she stopped him as he was about to reach for the driver's side door. "Oh, no, you don't. You don't think I'm going to let you drive in your condition." Officer Emmett helped Kevin into the passenger seat and went around to the other side to start the car. She smiled as she revved the powerful engine. They got to Officer Emmett's house in about a half an hour. When they walked into the living room, she pointed at the large recliner and said, "That's yours for the night." Then she went into her bedroom and came back with a first aid kit. "I'll leave this here in case you need it," Officer Emmett said as she put the box on the coffee table and put a blanket over Kevin. Then she pointed to a door next to the bookcase and added, "The guest bathroom is right over there." Once Kevin was settled into the comfortable recliner, Officer Emmett sat down on the sofa. Kevin's phone vibrated, but he ignored it. "Kevin, can you tell me what you were thinking when you blocked the bullet for that little girl?" "I wasn't really thinking about anything. I just figured it would be less dangerous for me than for her." Officer Emmett was touched by this. Although Kevin was trying to make it sound like a rational decision, she knew he had a heart. Just as he was almost asleep, his phone vibrated again. It turned out to be Phoebe Anderson sending him text messages. It looked like she'd sent him dozens of texts. Is there trouble at her antique store again? He decided to call Phoebe to ask her what was going on. "Kevin, you finally saw my messages. It's been a busy day. Is there anything wrong? Do you need my help?" "Oh, I didn't know that you cared," Kevin answered playfully. "Don't worry. It's nothing I can't handle." Then Kevin suddenly thought of something. "Phoebe, since your family's got a lot of resources, have you seen any books about the healing powers of various gems?" "Why are you asking?" "I haven't seen any, but my father has an amazing library. I'll go take a look and get back to you." She didn't hang up, so Kevin put his phone on the side table while he waited for her to check the library. "Kevin, are you still there?"
"Yup, I'm here. What did you find?"
Phoebe answered a little nervously. "I found a couple of old books he probably got from an estate sale. Do you need them now?"
"There's no hurry. I'll stop by tomorrow."
"It sounds like you need some rest. I'll see you tomorrow." Phoebe hung up the phone, slightly disappointed. When Officer Emmett woke up the next morning, Kevin had already left. Instead of heading home, Kevin went to his office at Williams Media. In just one day, Williams Media had already lost over $3 billion. When the markets opened in the morning, the stocks dropped so fast that they temporarily halted trading. "Sir, if this continues, I'm afraid the company won't be able to hold on." "Even if we can't hold on, we have to try," Kevin said as he threw the stock reports on his desk. "No matter what, the company has to hang in there. How much liquid capital do we have available? I want you to access all of it. Let's see how far the Williams family is willing to go." "Yes, sir. I'll take care of that right away." She knew very well that Kevin's actions wouldn't help them at all. The Williams family was just too powerful, and Williams Media couldn't stand up to them without some outside help. In just a short time, not only Williams Media, but also the Whistler Hotel and the West Chicago International Group had suffered enormous losses. All over Chicago, countless small companies were facing bankruptcy. Kevin called Mitchell Cook and the others to come back to his office. They dropped everything and rushed there in less than an hour. "Mr. Williams, how can you laugh at this? The Williams family is killing us," Adriana said in exasperation. "Don't be so pessimistic. It ain't over till it's over," Kevin smiled. Then he asked Cook, "Mitch, what have you found out?"
"According to what I've seen, the whole mess is being led by the Williams family. They have at least 20 other companies helping them," Cook said gloomily.
"Mr. Williams, why don't we just give up now and cut our losses?" "What's wrong? Are you afraid?" "I'm just worried that when the dust settles, you'll end up losing Williams Media." Everyone at the table agreed. "I appreciate your concern, but let's not worry about that right now. I don't want to lose Williams Media either, but I can handle it if that happens. What we need to do now is to stabilize the stock market as much as possible. Don't let it crash before 3 this afternoon." A strong coldness flashed in Kevin's eyes. Then he said confidently, "We won't lose." The afternoon dragged on, while everyone watched the Williams Media and West Chicago International Group stocks fell again. But just when everyone thought that Williams Media wouldn't be able to last until the closing bell, there was a huge surge. Not only did it stabilize the stock market in an instant, but it also increased the shares of West Chicago International Group and the other groups by nearly 30%. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the major news agencies shared the breaking news. The CEO of KWTD Corporation, Tyler Dawn, had given his full support to Williams Media. The chairman of the Orion Group also said that he would back Williams Media. An unimaginable amount of money poured into the markets, and by the closing bell, their losses had been completely reversed. Williams Media stock had nearly doubled.
I must be dreaming, Gilbert Rhodes said excitedly.
That's thanks to the KWTD Corporation and the Orion Group.
Two of the biggest players in the business world,
Amos Squire exclaimed as he slapped his hand on the table.
We aren't the only ones who have been saved. It's spilled over to all the other companies in Chicago.
I told you things would turn around, Kevin said as he sat calmly on the sofa with his legs crossed, sipping another espresso. Mr. Williams, how did you get these two corporations to support you? I can't believe you doubted me. They all felt a little embarrassed. You don't have to worry about it anymore. I just couldn't give up on Chicago. It's too important. But I'll still need your help. He asked them to stay at Williams Media and keep an eye on things while he drove to Anderson Antiques to see Phoebe. Over the past few days, the Anderson family's antique and jewel business was the only place in Chicago that hadn't been directly affected by the Williams family's manipulation of the stock market. When Kevin arrived at the store, two assistants met him at the door and escorted him to the third floor. Kevin, you're finally here. Do you know how long I've been waiting for you? I'm sorry, Phoebe, I didn't know you were waiting this whole time. Phoebe saw that Kevin was sorry and her frown morphed into a pleasant smile. What is it you're trying to find out?
Hi, Kevin here. If you were wondering what happens next, then download the Pocket FM app and listen to the exciting episodes of Insta Empire now with the link in the description.
Kevin spent the night in Officer Emmett's living room as he recovered from his injuries from the bank robbery. The next day he went to his office and saw that Williams Media was still losing money. Things finally turned around after Tyler threw KWTD's support behind him. Kevin left Cook and the others to keep an eye on things in his office while he headed over to see Phoebe. Is this what you were looking for? He picked up one of the books and started to thumb through it. Yes, thanks, he replied absently as he looked at the photos and drawings. A lot of the stones are simply decorative, but there are some people who swear that certain stones can help with different physical or mental ailments. What exactly are you researching? Nothing in particular, just a sudden interest. Phoebe nodded in understanding. After a long pause, Phoebe looked at Kevin, who was lost in the book. I hope you're still not upset about what my father said the other day. Please don't take it to heart. He has a pretty bad temper, especially when family is involved. When she finished speaking, she couldn't look Kevin in the eye. It had been a pretty strange and embarrassing scene. She really couldn't blame her father for getting upset even though he was mad at the wrong person. That's okay, Phoebe. It's understandable. Suddenly, Kevin put down the old book in his hand. After hesitating for a moment, he looked at Phoebe and asked, After we left your home, did your dad say anything? What do you mean? She really didn't want to tell Kevin about the awkward conversation she had had with her father after Kevin, Lily, and Rachel left. No, nothing special. I explained everything to him as clearly as I could, and I think he felt better. Oh, what did you tell him? Of course I told him the truth. Phoebe didn't know why she was having so much trouble talking about it. Thank you for letting me borrow these books. Then Kevin picked up the old guides and started to head for the door. How about if I walk you downstairs? Kevin gave her a quizzical look. Why are you still standing there? Come on, let's go, Phoebe said as she gestured for Kevin to walk with her toward the large staircase. As Kevin and Phoebe walked through the main showroom to the front door, the customers and employees watched them with interest. When Kevin got back to Corwin Tower, Lily wasn't home yet. Kevin didn't think much about this and went straight into the study. He took out the bracelet and compared it with the illustrations in the book that he'd borrowed from Phoebe. Finally, he found what he was looking for. While he'd been focusing on herbal medications which could often have the same effects and benefits as modern medicine, certain stones and crystals were claimed to help increase those effects. The information in the books was pretty old, but Kevin couldn't deny that he had felt a lot more focused while holding the bracelet. According to one of the books, this was probably from the tourmaline stone, which he and everyone else had originally mistaken for an emerald. The next 5 days seemed to pass in the blink of an eye. During this time, Kevin went to his office at Williams Media every day. In the evenings, he would return to his penthouse at Corwin Tower and prepare dinner for Lily. After that, the two of them would take a leisurely walk around the neighborhood or in the park. Under the seemingly calm surface, the relationship between Kevin and Lily was quickly warming up. Finally, the huge economic turmoil that had been stirred up by the Williams family ended on the 8th day. It was obvious that, although the Williams family had gathered a lot of forces to help them, faced with the backing that Kevin had gotten from Tyler and the Orion group, their attempt was doomed to fail.
"I'm glad it's finally over,"
Mitchell Cook said as he let out a heavy sigh. "That really wasn't easy," Adriana said as she rubbed her eyes.
"That's an understatement," Emo said wearily. "Even though we won, we had some pretty heavy losses."
It had been an expensive battle for both sides. In the end, there weren't many casualties, but the total funds that the William family and Kevin's associate had poured into the fight exceeded $30 billion. They'd originally planned to sink $120 million into taking us down, even though it meant sacrificing themselves, Kevin said as he put down his coffee cup. There was no joy on his face. "Mitch, now we can put our plan into action." "Kevin, what plan do you and Mitch have in mind?" Adriana asked with a puzzled look on her face.
"We've been planning this for a while," Cook explained. "We're going to open the largest hotel in Chicago and at the same time take over the city's catering industry."
"That's a fantastic idea. Kevin, is there anything you need our help with?" "Not yet, thanks. We'll be happy to join forces with you later, but we've all suffered a lot lately. You, Emo, and Gilbert should take some time to help your companies recover." Adriana and the others nodded in agreement when they heard him say this. A few Chicago companies hadn't survived the financial battle that had just ripped through the local economy. 3 days later, the whole city of Chicago was buzzing with the latest news. The Salix Leaf Hotel broke ground with much fanfare. The ceremony was attended by Mitchell Cook, the owner of the Whistler Hotel, Adriana Wright, the president of the West Chicago International Group, Gilbert Rhodes, the owner of the Chartreuse Mill Bar, Emo Squire, a leader in the private security industry, and Sandra Wilson, the chief of staff at Williams Media. Everyone in Chicago knew that these people had helped the city to survive the recent economic crisis. Even though no one knew who the CEO of Salix Leaf Hotel was, judging from the distinguished attendees, they knew that it was someone very powerful. The highest-ranking dignitaries and government officials were also there to congratulate them. The most excited attendee was the new vice president and general manager of the Salix Leaf Hotel, Rachel Butcher, who had decided to go by her maiden name, Rachel Collins. It seemed that the local media outlets were interviewing her constantly. The entire complex was planned to take up over 10 city blocks. Over the next 2 years, the corporation would build luxury hotels and apartments for a cost of at least $3 billion. Within a day, the Willow Leaf Corporation became a household name, and Rachel's net worth skyrocketed too. She was suddenly one of the most influential people in Chicago. "Oh, Rachel is here! Quick, sit down so we can talk!" Dorothy greeted her warmly. "I really never expected you to be the vice president of the new hotel. If you make any connections, don't forget to include Lily." "Don't flatter me, Dorothy. I'm really just working for someone else," Rachel said modestly. "That's okay," Dorothy said happily. Just then, Lily touched Rachel on the shoulder. "Tell me honestly, how did you get to know someone so important?" Lily was well aware of Rachel's family background. It must have been difficult for her to suddenly be dealing with all these rich and powerful people like Mitchell Cook. "What important person? It's just that the CEO thinks highly of me." Rachel struggled to explain as a look of panic flashed across her eyes. Without Kevin's permission, Rachel could never reveal his identity. "Oh, really? When will you introduce me to your boss?" Lily teased. No problem. I'll introduce you to him as soon as I have the time," Rachel said with an awkward smile. Kevin slowly pushed the door open and entered the room. Rachel began to stand up when she saw him, but was stopped when he shot her a quick look that reminded her to not let on that he was her boss. "You're back already?" Lily asked with a smile. "Yes." Kevin nodded and looked around the room. "When did Rachel get here? You guys keep chatting. I'm a little tired, so I think I'll go upstairs to rest." Rachel breathed a sigh of relief that she hadn't revealed Kevin's secret, but she didn't know how much longer she could keep it up.
Hi, Kevin here. If you're wondering what happens next, then stay tuned on the Pocket FM Universe channel for more episodes.
The evening after the groundbreaking for the Salix Leaf Hotel, Lily and Rachel went home and spent some time chatting with Dorothy. Rachel was excited to be the vice president of Kevin's new company. When he came in, she got even more nervous and couldn't relax until he finally went upstairs. But Dorothy was unhappy that Kevin hadn't been a better host and complained to Lily. "Did you see that? Rachel came to visit and he didn't even bother to offer her something. Not even a piece of fruit." "Oh, Dorothy, it's no big deal. I'm not even hungry." But Dorothy's attitude was very distressing for her because of how grateful she was to Kevin for her new job. "Then I'll go get you something to drink. How about some water?" Meanwhile, Kevin was lying on the bed using his phone to surf for more information on healing stones that might increase the effectiveness of his herbal medicine. Suddenly, Lily opened the door and asked, "Kevin, there's an event we've been invited to the day after tomorrow. Do you want to go?" "What event?" "The Jones family lost a lot during that whole mess caused by the Williams family. So the Blair family is getting together more than a dozen wealthy families to invest in a huge high-end real estate development. Are you sure you want me to go along?" He didn't like to have anything to do with these people. It was just that they ran in different circles. "Now that I have 60% of the Jones Company shares, I'm going to represent the family. Since you're my husband, it's only right that you should be there too. Come on, we've never gone camping like this," Lily pleaded. "How could I say no? When do we head up there?" "Tomorrow." Then she looked at the clothes Kevin was wearing and, "Do you think you could change your clothes?" "But isn't it just a camping trip? You really want me to get new clothes to go camping?" "Yup. Anyway, you won't have anything to do but be my arm candy. After all, it's my business trip." "All right. I guess I can pretend I'm your gopher. I can get you sparkling water, carry your bags, things like that," Kevin joked as he put down his phone. "Don't tell me you want people to go back to calling you a freeloader." But just as she said this, Lily caught herself. "I'm sorry, Kevin, I shouldn't have said that." "That's okay. Anyway, you're my wife. You can say whatever you want to me," Kevin said casually. It didn't hurt his feelings at all. "Then let's go right now," Lily said excitedly as she smiled and took Kevin's hand. So they headed out to go shopping together. The problem was, Kevin just wasn't used to wearing fancy clothes. He preferred casual wear. Not only was it cheaper, but it was also a lot more comfortable. Finally, after making Lily roll her eyes in frustration at least a dozen times, Kevin had no choice but to give in. He ended up buying 2 short-sleeve shirts, some pants, and 3 jackets. When he got to the register, the associate scanned the items, then smugly looked Kevin up and down before saying, "The total is $1,832. This is on me." When he heard this, Kevin smiled broadly and said, "If you insist." The next morning, as the sun was starting to rise over Lake Michigan, the Blair family sent a car to pick up Lily and Kevin at Corwin Tower. After about 2 hours, the caravan of over a dozen limousines stopped at their destination up near Rockford. "So this is where you plan to build?" Kevin whispered to Lily as they got out of the limo. "Yes. Isn't it beautiful? It cost a little over $200 million for the land. Then each family is going to spend another $45 million for the construction costs," Lily replied with a smile. Kevin shook his head when he heard her say this. He didn't think that it was a good place for a luxury housing development. There was a river nearby which was picturesque, but he wondered if anyone had even looked into the chance of flooding. As Kevin was thinking about this, he heard a familiar, annoying voice. "Kevin, what are you doing here? Did Lily finally let you out of the house?" Lily had more status in the Jones family, but Jason still looked down on Kevin. "Isn't that obvious?"
He must have tagged along with his wife to get free food and drinks. Otherwise, he could never afford to take part in a high-end camping trip like this."
They all burst into laughter. Kevin glared at Jason but didn't say anything. It was better to ignore him. However, this teasing made Lily very unhappy. "Jason, what do you mean by that? We all came out here to have fun. If you pick another fight with Kevin, don't blame me for what happens to you."
"Lily's right, Jason. You really talk too much," Matilda reminded him. Jason just grumbled and walked away. By now, a lot of them had already started to set up their tents. They were the future of the various companies involved in the business venture, and what they were interested in most of all was networking. Right at that moment, Kevin heard a lot of commotion and turned around to see Officer Emmett and Phoebe Anderson walking out of a changing room. But to everyone's surprise, the two women went straight to Kevin.
"I really didn't expect you guys to get here so quickly," Phoebe said while smiling at Kevin. Lily noticed Phoebe looking at Kevin and suddenly felt uncomfortable. "Kevin, I didn't expect you to be here either. Why didn't you tell us? We could have ridden together."
"Oh, I don't know about that. Remember what happened the last time we took a drive together?"
Officer Emmett knew he was talking about chasing the bank robbers in his sports car. Lily wasn't sure what to think when she heard them talking like this. "Kelly, you might not know, but Lily is now at the helm of the Jones family business. Kevin only came on this camping trip because of her." "What are you talking about? Do you have to make things so awkward? Kelly, why are you still standing up for him? You're my fiancé. I'm just being honest. Also, if you keep acting like this, you may not call me that much longer." Okay, Kelly, whatever you say." But he still gave Kevin another dirty look. His father, Neil Blair, suddenly stood up and interrupted them, saying, "Thank you all very much for coming on this camping trip. I'll be brief. Have a good time and be careful." Then he added, "This is a great place to get in touch with the outdoors. You can fish down by the river, and there's small game out in the woods. It will be up to you to find your food over the next few days. We'll provide drinks and snacks. Just grab whatever you need and enjoy yourselves." They immediately broke up into cliques. Some picked up fishing rods to go fishing by the river. Others got ready to head into the woods to hunt for small game. After all, the main goal of this outing was to make friends and get to know each other. Phoebe suddenly asked, "Kevin, are we hunting or fishing?" "We'd do better at a lake. The current's too fast down by the river. The fish would be swept away before they had any chance to bite. And it's illegal to fish with a net around here. Of course, we could all afford the fine, but it just wouldn't be sportsmanlike." "So what you're saying is none of those guys will be able to catch a fish?" If Officer Emmett hadn't been there, Blair definitely wouldn't have been hanging out with Kevin. "I didn't say absolutely," Kevin explained. "Then why are you so serious? Are you just bragging?" Blair scoffed. Kevin ignored him. He turned around and said to Lily, "Let's head into the woods and see if we can catch a wild rabbit." Lily nodded in agreement. She didn't want to stay here and feel everyone's eyes on her. "Let's go," Phoebe said as she smiled and picked up a wicker basket. "Why don't we have a competition and see who catches the most fish or game?" Someone in the crowd agreed.
"So what's the reward?"
"Good idea. Each family will put $10 million in the pot. Winner takes all." A lot of them wanted to participate, but $10 million was a lot of money. How many of them could bet that much just for fun? Blair sneered at Kevin and Lily. His goal was clear. He was goading them to play his game. Blair had already sent some of his people ahead to set things up. The Jones family was guaranteed to lose, and he'd put Kevin in his place. "Jason, will the Jones family participate?" Lily wasn't pleased to hear this. She was the leader of the Jones family now, and this game involved a huge amount of money. Why did Blair ask Jason instead of her?
"We'll think about it,"
Jason replied, but he didn't agree immediately. "What? Can't you make a decision by yourself? It's just $10 million. Don't tell me your family's so poor that you can't scrape that much together. Or are you as useless as the guy who married into your family?" Kevin frowned and thought to himself, "What's with this guy? Why does everything have to do with me? It's not like I did anything to him." Kevin could tell that Blair was purposely provoking Jason. As expected, Jason took the bait and said,
"Don't worry, we can still afford $10 million.
Then Jason turned to Lily and said,
"Since Mr. Blair has kindly invited us, should we join the game?"
Blair frowned when he heard the Joneses start talking with each other about Jason's response. They all knew that the decision was up to Lily. While they didn't want to back down, they also knew $10 million was a lot of money. Jason wasn't happy about this either. He thought of himself as the family representative, but as long as Lily held most of the shares in the company, he was no longer in the limelight. On the other hand, if Lily went along with the wager and lost, Grandma Jones might force her to hand over her shares. "All right, we're in," Lily replied as she gritted her teeth.
"You're braver than I thought,"
Blair said with a cocky smile. But Lily wasn't sure this was really a good decision.
Hi, Kevin here. If you're wondering what happens next, then stay tuned on the Pocket FM Universe channel for more episodes.